What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Blast Beats. I am one of your co-hosts, Zachary Nur, here as always for our 15th episode. It's crazy to think that um, it's the day of the draft. We're getting this in right before because we're big sports fans, but we're also big music fans. So double dedication. But as always, I'm joined by my main men, Chris Spooner and Larry. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing pretty well, and I'm going to apologize in advance if my voice sounds like shit. I was at the metal tour of the year last night, catching Megadeth, Trivium, Lamb of God. Excellent show, but not great for the voice.
Well, if there was ever an excuse for the voice not to be good, especially for this podcast, I think that's it. That's like the bona fide cop out. Hey, we're a metal and rock podcast. My voice might be shut because I was at a fucking awesome metal show. I mean, who's going to complain about that?
Exactly,
um,
exactly.
we'll definitely ask you more about that in a little bit. And then Larry, how you doing, man? Big day for you.
It is a big day. I don't want a quarterback. I'll tell
You
you that right
don't
now.
want a quarterback. Okay, okay.
No,
Do you want Hutchison?
I do.
I mean, I figured Detroit would.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's fair.
keep it home.
Keep it home. Keep it home. It like the Panthers did with Shea.
But other than that, it's good. Little spring no longer exists in the state of Wisconsin, so that bums me out. We go straight from winter to summer, and we're right in the middle of cloudy and cold. So
Yeah.
it's bringing me down a little bit. That's
Feeling
all
like
right.
in Iowa, too.
Yeah.
That's a consensus I've been hearing from a lot of people on my Twitter feed. All the people that I write with that are up in like the Northeast and Connecticut and Massachusetts and all that, they're talking about how like spring sucks. I wish I could relate because gosh, I live in the wonderful state of Virginia, and we have like 17,000 seasons every year. We have at least 4 winters and 3 fall springs. I've already experienced an 80-degree day, and I had snow in the first week of April. So I have no real like concept of weather and seasons anymore. It just kind of does what it wants.
Yeah.
um,
Snow in the first week of April is pretty common up here these days, and I hate
so well, fair, pretty common for you guys.
it.
For Virginia, no, it is not. But anyways, we've got some new music that we've been listening to. And I want to kick it off with an album that I'm pretty sure we've all listened to. You've listened to it too, Larry, right?
I think so.
Body Snatcher.
A little bit.
Little
I
bit.
didn't dive into it fully, but
Well, I mean, to be fair, I didn't dive into it fully either. I was doing it last night while I was writing some of my draft content. And I guess that leaves Spoon as the main man, the main lead here, who has probably dived into it a bit more than both of us. But we've all listened to it. Probably one of the better things that I've listened to. I know you said that, Spoon, before we were on. If you want to like dive in a little deeper to that new album.
Yeah, it was probably the best thing that I listened to from last week. Last week was kind of a bummer for me, actually. There was several things that came out last week that I was kind of anticipating and really looking forward to getting into that really kind of just fell flat for me. But the Body Snatcher really kind of hit that sweet spot for me. It wasn't something that I'm gonna put like on my album of the year contenders list, but it was close. It was close. Really, really kind of hit that nice blend of heavy, but not you know overly so. Um, Catchy riffs, nice tones. Like the guy's the lead singer's voice. It hit all the notes that I wanted it to. Great album.
Yeah, I would say the only mistake I made in listening to it was I don't do this very often because I don't use iTunes anymore because iTunes doesn't really like on my computer. It doesn't really have a purpose for me anymore. I just do everything on my phone.
Hmm.
But back in the day, and this was more of a thing that I needed when I was doing my radio shows. I have auto fade set up on my
oh, I like
playback
that.
like 3 second auto fades, and so the transitions between songs were a little bit weird.
Mm.
But after the first couple songs, and I realized, oh, I have that setting set up. I was like, okay, that makes more sense. But I kind of liked everything did seem to flow pretty well, even though it was getting cut off. Like I said, I was listening to it while I was writing, and I've been doing this test. The Papa Roach album, that was another one. If I'm sitting there and working, and being at Wawa and working and writing on my computer at home are two very different settings, but it's still the focus part. I'm pretty focused in on what I'm doing. If it's going to catch my ear and have me turning and being like, oh man, this is pretty good, that registers in my mind, and that's what was happening to me with me last night, listening to Body Snatcher. The album's called Bleed Unite, or Bleed
Bleed
Abide.
Abide.
Bleed Abide.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, the names of the first two songs. um but yeah, fantastic. I mean, pretty great album. I was telling Spoon and Larry beforehand, I mean, it was a very, very, very big week for hip hop because Pusha T released his first album since 2018. So it was going to be hard for something to compete that hard and take away some rotation time from that for me, but it did. And it was great. Um, what else we got from this past week?
You got anything, Larry?
Yeah, I checked out. There are 3 albums I had. First one, metalcore band Caliban, Dystopia. It was all right. It
Mhm.
got a little bit of While She Sleeps. I heard listening to them, which I'm a fan of. I love While She Sleeps. Wanted to say this on our underrated episode. I think they are a criminally underrated band.
Okay,
Throw that in there.
okay.
For the verses, they leave a lot left to be desired, but the hooks were solid. No riffs, which is unfortunate because I love me some riffs. And I listened to Blackguard from Denigrate, a little bit of Doom, goth rock. It's Doom is pretty tough for me. It's not my thing, but I'll always give it a shot. It was like a slower version of Him, if you guys listen to Him at all or
Yeah.
dabbled. And then
Not really.
you ever watch a little Viva La Bam or anything like that?
No.
All right, but and then wrapping it up. Make sure I can read that properly. Miseration, Black Miracles, and Dark Wonders. Swedish melodic death metal. One of my favorite genres.
Okay.
Really liked it. Full sound. Don't usually use this to describe metal albums. Well, you can, but I thought it was good emotion to it. Felt pretty emotional listening to it. Which I think if you can capture that sound in your record, that's pretty cool. But that was it for me for the week.
Yeah, so I didn't really get anything new per se besides the Body Snatcher album, but something today that happened, and this is the point that I wanted to that I was telling you guys about earlier. I've mentioned this album before and this band before, State Champs, pop punk. They have a new album coming out on May 13th called Kings of the New Age. So a couple weeks from now. They released a new song recently called Eventually. And it has to be within the past 2 weeks, 100%, because of the oldest comments are only 2 weeks old on YouTube. But both the video for that and the video for the single they released beforehand, Everything But You, featuring Neck Deep's lead singer Ben Barlow, in both videos, I have noticed distinct scenes with skateboarding. And that has been something that has been lost from the pop punk genre the past few years and had a very, very strong tie with pop punk.
Absolutely.
That I'm kind of excited to see is being brought back by a band that if it was like 2018, 2017, 2016, State Champs is a band that we're talking about that is just breaking through and looked at as one of the younger bands in this genre. But they've really kind of pushed themselves to being more of the elder statesmen now, of how much they've released and where they stand in the genre as we speak at the moment. Because Blink isn't touring the same as they used to. Sum 41 isn't touring the same they used to. Green Day has had a resurgence. That's been really nice to see. But some of these other bands that were really, really staples of the genre really have kind of let the younger bands take over. And it's really been cool to see a band like State Champs, who was in that younger period, that kind of changed it a little bit, changed the sound, changed the perception. They're bringing that old ties and the old feel back to it a little bit. Listening to these past 2 songs they put out, I'm like, okay, yes, this is the 2012, 13, 14 pop punk that I freaking adored. The story so far, pop punk.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Pizza.
Yeah,
I'm thinking pizza and Mountain Dew pop punk when I see that.
Yeah.
It's because a meme I saw back in college.
Jared Alonji, God bless his soul. Yeah, so there's been a lot of stuff that's come out recently. And we've also there's some stuff coming up soon. I don't know if you guys want to touch on anything else that you guys have been listening to specifically, or if you want to transition into some stuff coming up, because there is some interesting stuff. Um, there is one album I'm gonna hit the hammer for again.
Yeah, I mean
Ooh.
the only other thing that I've been listening to recently that came out in the last couple of weeks um, is the latest single from Motionless in White,
Yes,
Masterpiece.
Yep.
Been listening to
they
a lot.
they're a band that I think when we were talking about bands that can make a leap here, they toned back their image a bit, and I think that really did something for the better for them.
They're not as hot topic anymore.
Yes, yes. I mean, they were going crazy with all the makeup and stuff, like full face. Really, kind of what Black Veil Brides did. Early Black Veil Brides was Kiss Light.
Mhm.
Um,
I
and
think they're much heavier than Kiss.
well, no. I mean the image. I mean the image, not like the music. The
Yeah.
image. But like Motionless in White was, I think, going a bit hard, like really hard into the horrorcore scene, and they kind of backed out on it just a step, or maybe
Yeah,
like a half step, and it's been perfect for them.
yeah,
I caught them
absolutely
live a
agree.
couple times. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I caught them live a couple times within the last in a 3-year span. I'll say. The first was they were on tour with Atreyu and Wilson, who's no longer together, and that bums me out. Oh, nope, never mind. Foreshadowing. And then I saw them later on when they were co-headlining with Beartooth on the Disease tour.
Okay.
The first time I saw them with Atreyu and Wilson, very unimpressed. It wasn't quite full-fledged Hot Topic, but the vibes were there for that. It was just not a good show. And then the second time at the Hard Rock in Chicago with Beartooth, it seemed like there was more of a production with everything with them from start to finish. Chris Motionless, I even think, went through like a couple costume changes, but they had a full stage presence. It was a much better show than what I saw the first time, and that was I
Interesting.
think a year and a half, 2 years later.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them a couple times in my Warp Tour run, but I mean, that we're talking about 2014, 15, 16. So 6, 7, 8 years ago, very different band. More recently, I would have seen them when I was in college when I saw Slipknot, but traffic was pretty bad and they were the opener and we missed that. So we
So,
showed up in time for Bullet for My Valentine to start. So that's all I care
so I'm
about.
the only one here who hasn't seen him live.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Nerd.
Now,
It was
granted, Larry's seen a much better version of Motionless in White, as we just said. So, I
right.
mean, I'm not gonna say that I've seen like today's Motionless in White, but I've seen a Motionless in White.
I
They're
was
pretty. I will say they're pretty polished.
Yeah,
Yeah, Spencer.
I was gonna go see them out in Des Moines on the Trinity of Terror tour that they're on. Um, but I forgot to buy my tickets, and by the time I realized I forgot to buy my tickets, the show was sold out.
Oh my gosh, is that a problem for you guys? Because like
Not usually.
not usually. Okay, because like in Virginia, with the way that they do shows in Virginia, either one of two things happens. Either, and Virginia is actually a pretty forgotten state on tours because of our proximity to DC.
Right.
Um, Half the time, it's either there's going to be a show in DC and a show in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you've got to take your pick, or they go to Richmond or Newport News, Virginia Beach area, and do that. So like if it's the Newport News, Richmond shows, those aren't pretty bad. But then if it ends up being Richmond or not Richmond, Washington D.C. or Charlotte, sometimes depending on the band, I'm SOL, SOL for those tickets,
Yeah. That's
especially in DC because they get way outpriced.
yeah. That I kind of have a similar like Iowa is a pretty forgotten state as far as tours. Like if you're touring the Midwest, you're going to Minneapolis, you're going to Chicago, you're going to Kansas City, St. Louis. You're not coming to Cedar Rapids. You're not coming to Des Moines.
Yeah,
Um, so like I don't get to
that's where you
see
got lucky with Slipknot.
yeah, but yeah, I don't get to see a lot of shows in in my preferred genre. some, little tours will come through, but it's kind of it's rough sledding out here. But they don't typically sell out when they do come, which I
Okay.
is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Um, so
You can't necessarily get the ticket sales to make it worthwhile.
yeah, exactly. So it was both encouraging and discouraging when I saw that tour was sold out, because on the one hand I'm like, oh, that actually sold out, sweet, but on the other hand I was like, fuck, I forgot to buy my tickets and now I can't go.
Yeah. What about? I mean, do you have any problems with that, Larry, at all?
The only problems I have with getting tickets is when I lollygag and forget to get tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't pull the trigger on Metal Tour of the Year Part 2 for Green Bay, and I was selfish. I'm spoiled. If I can't get pit passes, I don't know if I want to go.
Are you closer to Green Bay or Detroit?
Green Bay, oh my goodness. Detroit's like 9 hours away.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. But you're in Michigan though, right?
No, I'm 30 minutes from Green Bay. I live
Oh,
in
you
Appleton,
live in
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin and you're a Michigan fan?
My whole dad's side of the family is from Michigan.
Oh wow.
That's what I grew up watching.
Man, that's like my sister walking around this area being a Cowboys fan. Like, jeez.
But I pit pat like the good seats, they go pretty quick, but if just going to a show around here, there's generally always something.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Yeah. All right, here's my like fifth time saying this. I am incredibly excited for the Black Keys album coming out on May 13th. It's gonna be the last time I mention it because I've said it like 7 times. But Dropout Boogie's gonna be a bop. I cannot wait because, like I said, the last album was folk, and I was like, I don't know about that one. But yeah, I'm very excited for that. Rammstein's album comes out this week.
Bumping that.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing that's coming out tomorrow that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. We got that. AWOL Nation's coming up with something that sounds interesting. I haven't listened to it in a while. And then Silverstein is also coming out with one on May 6th. That will be fantastic. They've been
Yeah,
on it up recently.
May 6th has a few things that I'm looking forward to.
Upon a Burning Body, 3 Days Grace.
3 Days Grace, Upon a Burning Body, Hailstorm's new one comes out.
Hailstorm, Sabaton.
Ibaraki.
I checked out the. Oh yeah, have any of you checked out the singles from that?
Yes, I've listened to both of them.
What do you think?
I think they're good. I don't think they're black metal like it's being
I
billed.
don't either. Yes, thank you.
Wait, which one is this?
It's Matt
Ibaraki.
Heafy from Trivium.
Oh, from Trivium?
It's his black metal project, and they sound like intro songs to anime shows.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's pretty freaking hype.
I mean, it's good music. I've enjoyed all of the songs that I've heard from it. It's just it's not black metal like it's being billed as.
Yeah, it sounds nothing like Mayhem or Darkthrone or any traditional Norwegian black metal sounds that you're used to.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like the most black metal that we've got from it was Gerard Way screaming on his song.
Yeah.
Really?
Which, I mean, that caught me off guard because I've never heard Gerard Way sound like that. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. But that was as close to black metal as I would say that it's gotten.
That is a band that I want to release something this year. I don't care if it's a song or whatever. If you're going to be touring, release something.
I would love to hear something from Mike M.
Just one song. Just come together for work on one song. You all are doing your own individual music anyways. It's not like you're not doing music. Just tease us. Just give us a little taster. It's been so long. I would cry because so I got into My Chemical Romance well after they broke up. And the person that got me into them had to break because I was like, oh man, I really want to see My Chemical Romance. And they had to break the unfortunate news to me that would not be a thing because they were no longer together. And I was like, what? So like, especially for people who have never been able to have a release, because the little like reunion thing they did was such a fucking tease. That was ridiculous. and I just something that would be great. It would be great.
Yeah, I would love to hear them release something. Like I was big into My Chem back when they released, Three Cheers. I wore out Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge. And I loved the Black Parade. I kind of fell out with them after like Danger Days and whatever
Yeah,
came after that. But I fucking loved the first two albums.
yeah. I have both the first two albums on CD. Um, yeah, it's fantastic. That would be great. I'm getting ready to look up something, but I didn't know if we wanted to transition into the first of the questions. And if this band qualifies for this for our question, I'm gonna cry because it actually gives me something that I didn't expect. Um, but did you guys want to go ahead and go into to the first question?
Yeah.
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So we had planned on recording last week. Unfortunately, Spoon had a slight issue at work, push it off a little bit, but it gave us a bit more content, a little bit more time, gave, and more importantly, me a little bit more time because I wasn't as quick on the trigger as my lovely co-host with this question. So a week ago, before recording, we posed the greatest. We all know what one hit wonders are, but what about one album wonders? Bands that have released one album that has been. Are we going to say critically acclaimed or just that we like it?
Let's go. We like it because
Both.
I
Like
didn't get
it.
anything critically acclaimed.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so one album artists that they just have something that we just freaking love. So who wants to take it away here first?
You wanna kick us off, Larry?
God damn it! I'll kick this off then, Larry. Alrighty. When Spoon posed this question in the group chat, this band came to me immediately. Let's see. Let me get my dates correct. This was my favorite band in high school. I thought they were going to be the biggest thing in hard rock. Hail the Villain. 2010, they came out with their only album, Population Declining. And it was one. I think it was my first album that I thought had zero skips on it, start to finish. They came out with a couple music videos. They each told a story. They were planning on releasing like a comic book and doing a film. Like they had a whole production planned with their music. The music was outstanding. And then their lead singer Brian Crouch blew out his voice while he was on tour. I think they were on tour with Disturbed and Hell Yeah. And right after they recorded their first album, blows out his voice. Then he quits the band and they disbanded. But anybody that's listening, if you want to listen to Hail the Villain, I need you to go and listen to Take Back the Fear and Runaway. And then I need you to watch the video for My Reward. To this day, it's one of my favorite music videos I've ever seen. Rest in peace to that band.
Man, that was a tough start there. Shoot. All right. Well, I'll go next with my first one, and it is rock. We're gonna harken back to England in 1977
Oh boy.
for Lamp, Johnny Thunder and the Heartbreakers.
What?
I don't
You
know
guys
this.
have you guys ever heard the song "Born to Lose"?
Probably.
Born to lose, baby, I'm born to lose. That song.
I think so. I think
Yeah,
so.
that's so that apparently that album, when I was doing a little bit of research, uh incredibly well received. Like it's on Rolling Stone's top 10 in their top 10 for top 10 one album wonders of all time. Pretty awesome album. I sat through and listened to the whole thing. But like that song right there, that song has stuck with me since I was 12 years old because Born to Lose by Johnny Thunder and the Heartbreakers is on the Skate 3 soundtrack. And I personally have beaten the Skate 3 game 6 or 7 times over. Just like completing the game and resetting it, completing the game and resetting it, completing the game and resetting it. I did not have the little I had an Xbox 360. I didn't have the little like converter thing for the back to do wireless internet. So, and I could not hardwire my Xbox 360, so that meant solo campaigns on games for good old Zach Nur as a kid. So Skate 2 and 3 were my best friends, but that their soundtracks were incredible. Have you guys ever heard of Canned Heat?
Yes.
I
Yes.
have not.
Going Down the Country by Canned Heat. Amazing song. An incredible song. They just had this knack for picking out these beautiful that's actually what cultivated my love of Neil Diamond was my grandparents and aunt, and then the Skate 3 soundtrack that had Cracklin' Rosie, my favorite Neil Diamond song of all time. But yeah, man, great album. I would definitely suggest it for you guys to listen to. LAMP also stands for Like a Motherfucker. So, in case you were wondering, that's what this
Interesting.
band was
Okay.
born in 1977. So they were getting down. This was like probably like early like rock punk ish, like on the like borderline of both. So great album. So man, I'm really glad that I had one that you guys like. I definitely thought that one would have been taken. Yes.
Nice. Yeah, so I'll go ahead with my first one. I've got three. I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I just remembered another one, which is I'll admit it's a little bit cheating with my third, so I'm gonna save it for last.
Oh, don't worry, Spoon. My second one is cheating as hell.
So my first one, okay, so last week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember time. It's a weird soup. But I was, just kind of bored, going through on my phone, avoiding sleep, and I saw an article from Revolver about one album wonders, which is what spawned this question for me. And just like as soon as I saw the title, two immediately came to my head, and the first one that I'm going to go with is Mad Season. Their album, incredible album. River of Deceit is just an all-time song, and the entire album from front to back. River of Deceit, I Don't Know Anything. There's a few other. I think they had one other single on it. Incredible album. It's the kind of side project that Lane Staley did after things fell through with Alice in Chains and before he passed to drug addiction. He got together with a couple of guys. I think there's a couple of guys from Soundgarden on it and Pearl Jam. Maybe one or two other like Seattle grunge era musicians. Put together a really kind of softer, subdued sound. It was an amazing album, and I really, really wish they would have put out more. It was fantastic to kind of hear that softer side of Lane Staley.
I love me some Lane Staley.
Yeah, that sounds great. So then we'll kick it right back down to Larry, because I only have two, so I figure we'll go Larry, me, Spoon, and then back to Larry, and then hit Spoon again.
Yep, that works for me.
Perfect. So what's the next one on your list, Larry?
I gotta say, that's my only true tried one album wonder.
What?
Yes, for bands that released one album and then called it kaputs. That's it. That's it for me.
Oh man. Okay.
I'm trying to do a quick comb, but
Okay. Well, then that changes things then. Spoon, you want to go ahead with your second one then?
I'll go ahead with my second one. The second one that immediately came to me when I saw that Revolver article. Temple of the Dog. Absolute classic album with Chris Cornell, Eddie Vedder on Hunger Strike. Amazing album. Really, really, really wish they would have put out more of that project. There were teases of it throughout the years. They even, while Cornell was still alive, they even went and played a couple of shows in Seattle, just a couple of years before Cornell passed. And I thought we were going to get another Temple of the Dog release, and it just never happened. But man, Hunger Strike, Say Hello to Heaven, it's it's a classic from that era, and so disappointing that we didn't get more from that.
Yeah, I saw this was also on the list, the Rolling Stone list that I was looking at. Um, I'm not 100% correct in saying this. You guys 100% correct me if I'm wrong. I believe on there it said that this was really the precursor to grunge music. This album.
Was it?
I have not heard that before.
Well, I mean, just with what they spawned and what those vocalists and musicians ended up going to.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this was in '91.
Yeah,
So
that's true. It was before those two really blew up, but I know
yeah,
Soundgarden had released a couple of albums prior to the Temple of the Dog release. I don't know if Pearl Jam did, or if
yeah, no.
10 came out after that.
So it says right here. This is just I'm pulling this from Wikipedia. But so Cornell, who had been with Soundgarden and had been with Mother Love Bone vocalist Andrew Wood's roommate, they all came together, and then they got lead guitar Mike McCready and Eddie Vedder. They went on to do became Pearl Jam, and there was another. So it might have just been more that was the precursor to Pearl Jam.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. So that's definitely interesting. That's not an album I've listened to, and I'll have to definitely go into that. But
yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, my second album, it's going. So this is where I said I was cheating, because technically the musicians are still active, but the technical group is not. Boxcar Racer. Tom DeLonge and Travis Barker's project. They only released the self-titled, and then they had their outs with each other back in 2002. That I Feel So and There Is, both incredible songs. I mean, it's just all of that stuff of, I mean, that's a precursor to Angels and Airwaves and DeLonge doing whatever he wanted to, bending genres how he wanted to. I don't speak on him too often. We've established that on this podcast. So yeah, no, I love that album. It's the only one they released. There's a decent amount with, I mean, it goes into, I mean, there was so much strife between DeLonge and not Hoppus and Barker, and I mean, the plane crash did not help any of that, and him not being able to tour overseas. So like the history of Blink-182 is so freaking crazy, which is why I'm glad that they decided, Travis and Mark decided to keep going without Tom, because it's been so much less drama, like so much less drama ever since they parted ways with each other. And it's been nice to not have that side of Blink just being thrown in my face all the time for a band that I absolutely adore with all of my living body. But yeah, no, Boxcar Racer, that album was fantastic. I loved it. Another album that was pretty highly received when it came out.
Yeah, I remember checking it out when it came out and thinking, oh, the guys from Blink have a side project. Let's see where this goes. Well, and then it never.
It's not the only one either, because I would have said Plus 44, but they released multiple projects. But that was Hoppus and Barker. That wasn't DeLonge. So it just shows that, like, and I'm not trying to speak bad on the dude, but like DeLonge is a very unique individual. He's got his own thing. I mean, the alien stuff is alone. Like if I was in the band, I kind of liken it right now. And I don't know how big of a fan you guys are of the NBA, but with the Nets being swept, just with the whole situation with Durant and Kyrie, and it's just like sitting there like, man, Durant's got to be tired of this.
Right?
Like, oh my God. Like, I just want to play basketball, bruh. I just want to get another championship. Hoppus and Barker, I just want to make another album, dude. I don't care about aliens. Like, come on, man. Can we just write some lyrics, please? But yeah, Boxcar Racer was fantastic. And then we'll flip it back to you, Spoon, for the final one album wonder.
Yeah, so for my third one, I'm kind of cheating here a bit. I'm gonna go with
cheaters.
Yep, I'm gonna go with a band called Flybanger. and their album Head Trip to Nowhere. So the cheating is, before they were Flybanger, they were going under the name Jar, and they had released an EP under that name. So, a little sketchy here, but
It would
as
still only be one album though.
yeah, it's one full length. It's one full length. I'm technically correct, the best kind.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's came out in, I want to say, like 95, and it was one of those things that, well, no, it came out in 2001. Sorry, they started as Jar in like 95, but Head Trip to Nowhere came out in 2001 and would have been like right as I was getting into high school, and kind of right as I was discovering music that was a bit heavier. And it was just mind blowing to me. The vocals, the guitar work, the subject matter of some of the songs. Absolutely loved it. Cavalry was a huge hit for me. The best song on that album for me is the fourth one, Pull. Just fantastic, kind of pioneering that new metal sound, kind of mixing it with alternative metal, and maybe even kind of like a precursor to gent. Um, it was phenomenal. I wish that they would have put out more music.
So you see me smiling from ear to ear
Mm-hmm.
because you said you were cheating with that a little bit, and the good part for you is there was only one EP and one full length,
Mm-hmm.
so it does count. I could go a step further and make a really, really, really big loophole one that would just make people seething with anger.
Go for it.
Technically, Skrillex is a one album wonder. He had
Yeah.
only officially ever released one studio album under his solo name.
Okay, true.
The only one is Recess in 2014. Everything else is an EP, um, which is just stupid because it goes to show how much you can manipulate this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I own Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites on CD. That is a 10 song or maybe like 8 song album, but it definitely crosses the 40-minute mark.
Yeah, that's a full length to me.
It should be a full length, but then you get into all the crazy stuff with EDM and how they do their like full lengths versus EPs, because you get in metal. Metal is actually a fantastic genre to make that transition, to explain to somebody the differences from like popular music to EDM. EDM, like besides your like radio bangers, 9 times out of 10, if you hear an EDM song on the radio, it is a radio edit. It is not the full song. EDM songs 9 times out of 10 are 7 minutes plus. They have all this crazy stuff, all this stuff. Metal is the one crossover from rock and alternative and stuff where you start to see those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-minute songs. They become more commonplace. It's actually part of my hesitation of just freely downloading metal song or metal albums because I don't have that much space on my phone.
Fair.
But that's where you get into EDM albums have completely different tolerances and like limits for like minutes and tracks for being a full length, as opposed to like when Kanye was doing that those 7-track albums, but they were like 30 minutes, and it was like, is this an album? Is this an EP? No, it's a project. Oh, whatever. Shut up. So yeah, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, Skrillex technically would be one album wonder, even though he has 6 EPs and one album and 44 singles. EDM's different, but
Yeah.
This will transition us into our final question, because like I said, that's legitimate cheating. That is like, there's way too much on all of his other stuff that he actually has a fully rounded out discography.
Yeah.
So we're going to transition into our next question, which is one that I think it's one of the first times I've posed a question into the weekly topics for the podcast, and that is top choruses. When you've been listening to a song, you've been turning on an album, and the song comes on, and when you've listened to it, either like it's a chorus that you've either specifically jammed to, like really hard into, or it's like a fantastic stadium anthem. If you were to go to a show, the entire crowd is just going to be chanting. And I'm going to knock out my obvious one right out of the way first, and this harkens back to my days in college. And I'm surprised you guys didn't say this in the chat when I said this. Enter Sandman.
Of course.
Going to Virginia Tech, and I mean, it has created and spawned one of the greatest college football and college sports entries, because they don't just do it at the football games. It's even crazier when they do it in the basketball arena in a closed environment, and the entire arena is jumping inside of a building.
Mhm.
Like it's even crazier. It is undeniably one of the most recognizable songs in the genre.
Yes.
It's blown up beyond belief, partially because of that, but partially because it is just great. The chorus, everyone knows it. Everyone knows it to the point that when you're at Virginia Tech, and I mean, like, yeah, you have to know the song, but they cut it off and nobody stops singing, and everyone knows the song, the words. It's beautiful. So knocking that one out right out of the way, Enter Sandman, Metallica. I mean, they definitely have some other songs that could definitely fit into that descriptor, but that one off rip, off the top, is just like one of the bona fide examples of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Metallica's got a lot of those. You could throw in Master of Puppets in there. You could throw in the chorus from One. You could throw in Ride the Lightning. They've got
For Whom the Bell
so many.
Tolls.
Yes. For me, like the one that has been playing in my head for a while now, because I just recently revisited the album, is the chorus from The Past is Dead from Beartooth.
Hey.
Absolutely fucking love that chorus. It just gets stuck in my head so much. It's so sticky. And then the other one that kind of jumped into my head right away, that isn't in my typical answers of Metallica or Slipknot, is the chorus from Animals by Architects. Absolutely great, huge kind of stadium anthem chorus.
Yes. I did have a Beartooth song on my list. I picked Beaten in Lips, because that was one of the like very, very early songs that was like the perfect song outside of the EP that they had to release for the build up to Sick and Disgusting. Or not Sick and Disgusting. The last song is called Sick and Disgusting. But that Beaten in Lips is incredible. That music video was incredible. They're also a band, one of those bands. It's not one of the ones I have on my list because we've already talked about them in length, but they have a knack for being able to write Caleb has a knack for being able to write a chorus that the entire stadium is going to, in concert hall, is going to be able to latch onto immediately.
Yes.
Absolutely.
1000%.
Yes. Let's get one from you, Larry, because I want you to say something first, and then I want to say something because I'm gonna go back to last episode.
Alrighty.
Something.
We just had to pull an e-break. I thought we were going a different direction with the final one, but I got my list here. First one, I'm going Metallica, Disposable Heroes.
Yes.
Yep. I think, and this will come up in another episode. You will die when I say you must die. That's got me by the short and curlies. I love how James just sparks that line. That's a hook. That's a chorus. I feel real good about myself when I hear that song, that chorus specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's top Metallica song for me. And then to keep up with the Beartooth theme, my favorite Beartooth song, Body Bag.
Yes.
I think that's an all-time hook. I can't stop singing the high praises for this one enough. Are You Dead Yet? Children of Bodom. Might be my favorite hook in all of metal. And then I think my personal choice for quote-unquote the heaviest song I've heard, just because of the lyrics, 512, Lamb of God. It's a story of, he's being tried for manslaughter, and he just does a great job of kind of painting his own internal picture.
Yep.
But
or as he tells the story on stage, he took a vacation and saw some numbers.
Yep. Yep.
One song I would pose that I just thought about that you have posed to us, Larry, Knowing by Anthrax. Is that what that's called? Or no, only.
Yeah.
Only.
And then the other was Nobody Knows. But yeah, Only. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So for my next two, I want to touch on a conversation we had last podcast about overrated artists. And I think for one of them was one that I posed, one of them was one that you posed, Larry, and I think I know why they're overrated. Bring Me the Horizon also has a knack for making stadium anthems that anybody can latch onto. And I'm going to talk before That's the Spirit. I'm going back to Sempiternal. Go to Hell for Heaven's Sake. Antivit. Shadow Moses. All of those songs, and I'm not even going to touch Can You Feel My Heart and all that.
Because that was my favorite.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's good, but not in the sense of like the hard Bring Me the Horizon, because I think that's really their break into when they started going a bit softer, because that song is not nearly as heavy as the rest of the album.
It's not, but that's got some stank on that synth.
It does have some stank on it. One of the ones that I wanted to bring up that I touched on last episode, and not necessarily anymore. They do a decent job now. Early A Day to Remember had places going. Downfall of Us All, Homesick, Common Courtesy, freaking What Separates Me From You. All those early albums, they were on a roll. Slice up that butter and put them on a hot Hawaiian bun because they were on a roll. It was incredible. I only say Hawaiian because that's what my family eats. I'm not a big fan of them, but that's what's at my dinner table every day.
Oh, I love them.
But my family doesn't heat them up. They just have them cold. And I'm like, yo, can we have hot bread, please? I want hot bread. The butter needs to melt.
Nah.
My family puts butter in the fridge until we use it. They don't put it on the table beforehand, so it never thaws. So it's just hard. This is one of my complaints at work is I have to butter bread with cold butter. Do you know how difficult that is?
Yes, I do, because that's how
You end up mauling the bread, and then you just have a chunk of butter in the middle, and it's like, gosh darn it, you got to be kidding me. But one of the last,
I can eat plain butter. It's fine.
Yeah. But another band that I haven't talked about in a while, but it's what drew me to them, and it's really their stage presence. I don't know if it's necessarily their song formation and all that stuff. They still are pretty good at that. Give them as much crap as you want, but Attila knows how to throw a party. Attila knows how to throw an incredible party. And some of their stuff early on, I mean, all you had to do was listen to the song once, even just listen to the first chorus, and you knew the entire structure of the song, and you could get into it instantaneously. My friend, the first year that I went to Warped Tour, I had never heard Attila before in my life. Took me to the set, and I had a blast. I had so much fun, and I made it a mission every year after that. If they were on tour or on Warped, I had to see them. Because it's just so much, it's just so dumb and fun. One year they had a blow up beer pong set, and they were playing beer pong with the audience, holding the cups and having us throw beach balls into the cup. They just know how to throw a party, and it's fantastic. Now, unfortunately, their material is not for everybody. And I will totally give anybody who wants to give them crap about what they say and how, and like what their lyrical content is. That is totally fair. But they still know how to throw a party. And it's fantastic and it's fun. I'm not gonna say I would sign my name off with the lyrics, like I agree with them or anything like that. But sometimes it's just fun to go into a show and just say middle fingers up if you don't give a fuck. Like, just I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I did want to also point out Larry's favorite because they just started doing this very heavily with their last album. But I mean, with the Prey and the Void and Vice Grip, Parkway Drive has come into their own on Stadium Anthems and
Yes.
Hook. Yes, because
Oh my
that's the band that spawned this for me, because that was a very big complaint that I noticed when they released their last album, is people were upset that they were kind of experimenting, not necessarily in the forms of that they had done in the past with the consistency they had, but it was still different genres of metal and like metalcore and hard rock and stuff like that. They've done their time. Let them have fun with their shows.
Yeah.
Let them rile up the audience. They've put their dues in.
Yeah, I know that, like, specifically The Void was a pretty polarizing song for people, but like that's the song that got me listening to Parkway Drive. That was my introduction to Parkway Drive, and then I went back and listened to some of their back catalog, and found songs like Bottom Feeder, which is just fucking amazing, and Wishing
Ire.
Wells.
Ire is a wonderful album.
Yeah.
Ire is very unique.
I love Ire. It's a fantastic album.
You put Prey over the loudspeakers, and I will get in the ring and eat a fist from Prime Mike Tyson. That song is that good to me.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you my opinion of the genre of Prey?
No.
It's pirate metal. It is absolutely pirate metal.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I get a whole big swat. So when that came out, I was in college, and the apartment complex I lived in, there was 2 bus stops that I could walk to my apartment. There was one at the bottom of the hill that was like a flat walk, and then there was one all the way at the top of the hill. And I would ride my longboard around campus because I had a bike my freshman year. Tragic story. Second week of the first semester, I took my bike to the dining hall, locked it at the dining hall bike locks, went back outside, could not unlock my bike, and it stayed there for the rest of the year.
Oh no.
I had to get parking services to come with a bolt cutter, or like a bolt saw to saw my lock off because I could not get it to unlock. So I decided to go with my longboard, my shortboard, because you know what? I can bring that into class with me. It's not going anywhere. I will always have transportation. So I would go to the bottom of the hill in the morning, and then when I would come back in the afternoons, go to the one at the top of the hill and ride my longboard all the way down the streets. And man, just when that song came out, just surfing the asphalt seas on my longboard, carving the crap out of the streets, going back and forth, just chanting that song, feeling like I was Jack Sparrow flying through the open oceans. It was glorious.
See, now that you've said it, I have the opening from Prey going on in my head, and I am seeing Winston with an eye patch.
Yes.
Yep.
It surprisingly fits.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. That's basically on my list. I don't know if you guys had any more to add.
Oh, I got a couple more. Spoon, you got
a couple more.
I don't have any more choruses. I've got a couple, like, if we wanted to go, like, one-liners, but...
So, choruses, Rats, Ghost. Specifically,
yes,
the final one, where they got the backing vocals with the Rats. And then I would be very upset at myself if I didn't stay true to my true passions, if I didn't mention a couple Linkin Park songs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lying My Way From You, I think, is a great chorus. And then a little bit of a deep cut on one of my favorite albums of all time, Figure Point 9. That needs to be in everyone's Linkin Park rotation. Yeah. And if you're not familiar, you need to get familiar.
I just had one more entrant come rushing back into my mind. Did you guys ever listen to Rise Against?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Savior.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Not for you. Oh.
No. I don't like his voice.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean it's a unique voice. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. I got pretty into Rise Against for a little bit, and then kind of fell out. I haven't listened to them in like years.
Yeah.
Years.
Savior.
Satellite.
Savior's a great song, but for me, like the Rise Against song for me is Prayer of the Refugee.
Yes, that man, man. I played that on my radio show quite a bit. Uh, um, late night radio, you gotta love it.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, there's so many though, like, and that's where I was getting to with like, there's so many bands that just have a knack for being able to bring a stadium together with like, I mean, it's in every genre, and there are specific artists that can do it in every genre, but it gets a bit easier when you have the like backing instrumentals and stuff like that to keep you on key and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, rock and metal songs can be pretty formulaic, but that's not a bad thing.
No, definitely not. It gives your audience something to hook onto, something to latch onto, something they know is going to repeat and they can participate with.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, fantastic question. You did you have more, Larry?
Not written down.
Not written
Yeah.
down. Okay. Because man, there's just so much, and that's the problem. Is like I posed it, and then as I started going through, I was like, ah, damn it, I'm gonna pick one band out of every letter of the alphabet.
Exactly.
And we got things to get to. There's like we said, it's NFL draft night. It's going to be exciting. I've actually had a couple of tweets come across my phone that have like really raised my eyebrows about certain people being picked a bit earlier than we expected. So it's going to be a wild night. I'm actually very excited because I don't think we've had this much speculation ahead of the draft as we've had in quite some time.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It feels like we know less about what's going to happen than I can remember.
Yeah. And I mean, whether it's because there isn't the quarter, and I know we're getting into sports a little bit here, but hey, forgive us. We're all heavy in sports too, I'm sure. But I don't know if it's necessarily just the lack of not having big names, but it can't just not be having big names in the quarterback room because Trevor Lawrence went last year. I mean, it hasn't always just been like outside of the number one quarterbacks. There has always been these dominating names that people are like, okay, well, the quarterback's going to go number one, but this dude is 100% going number two as well, and we don't even know that.
Yeah.
It feels so different. Like where we were at the beginning of the college season is not even anywhere close to where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of it is baffling to me because it just, for me, Kayvon Thibodeau has been that guy who is, yeah, the quarterback's going to go number one, but this guy, and I don't understand the knock on him.
Is it because it's Oregon? Because it only seems to happen with Oregon players. Like this is the second one in a row that like now. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that I had some transcendent opinion on Justin Herbert. However, I thought the whole leadership thing was the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life. You try to be this like overtly like aggressive leader having 4 different offensive coordinators for every year you play college football. The dude was set up for failure at Oregon. What did you expect from him?
Well,
he
and
rose above every challenge.
Yeah, and he's from all accounts, he's an introverted guy, and you're not going to get that rah fire from a guy like that. It doesn't make him any less of a leader. It's just leadership in a different way.
It's a different type of leadership, and actually that's something that I think that has been very important over the past couple of years with the mental health talk. And I think it's opened up the idea that like, look, it's not just the people that are going to be in your face and super like aggressive and stuff. The people that are reserved are just as dedicated and driven and fired up as it. You're just overlooking it because I was having this conversation the other night about Tim Duncan, because when Tim Duncan retired from the NBA, I looked at his career accomplishments and I was like, yo, how are we not talking about this dude as one of the best NBA players of all time? And all the people I was talking with, they're like, he wasn't that dude. He wasn't in the spotlight. He was very reserved. He took the step back. He was there to do the job, get his stats, get the accomplishments, and get out. And if you don't like, it's I think it's starting to change the way we look at things with how we've talked about mental health, but being able to diagnose that and being like, actually, that's something that's in music too. Fall Out Boy is a fantastic example. Why do you think Pete Wentz was the front man and the front persona of the band, because Patrick Stump is a very introverted person and had no desire to be the front man and be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And it did not doom them whatsoever.
No, absolutely
They
not.
were fine. So
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
Yeah, there's more than one way to get the job accomplished.
Oh, definitely. But I think that about wraps us up for this week. Larry, you've been a little quiet. I've been a bit dominant of the end conversation here. Was there anything you wanted to add before we wrap things up?
No, but I mean, I thought we were gonna do what Spoon said before, the one-liners or the hooks.
Oh, one-liners and hooks. Oh, shoot.
We can save that for another day, because I had like a whole, I had my notebook filling up with that. My God damn,
if
words
we
are escaping
can
me.
if we can wait till next episode, because I didn't necessarily have specific lines, and I can fill mine up with some great one-off lines that I've heard in, because there's definitely some ones that I can think of, like ideas of specific bands that I want to look into, where I'm like, oh yes, no, I want to be able to pull this specific word for word from it. So I think that might give y'all a little insight into what some of our conversation may be for next episode.
But yeah, so
Yeah, I'm for saving that for next week.
Absolutely.
righteous.
So as we said, and with the little back end conversation, we're gonna wrap things up here because the NFL draft is fast approaching. And this has been another fantastic episode of Blast Beats. You can catch me, Zachner, on Twitter at Zachner, ZACHKNERR. And you can also catch us, mainly Spoon and Larry, tweeting occasionally from the Blast Beats Twitter account at Blast Beats, or at ATB underscore Blast Beats, not Blast Beats first, at ATB underscore Blast Beats. Spoon, Larry, we'll let them know where they can find y'all.
Yeah, you can find me, like Zach said, tweeting from the ATB account, or you can find me on my personal Twitter account at Spoonful of Sport.
I'm at Radical Larry 007, and I also just made a video of an orangutan driving a golf cart listening to Moontooth
Oh man,
on the Blast Beats.
that's fantastic. The only thing I want to add, and this is a slight plug-in for me, USFL has started, and I have become the resident USFL writer for PFN, basically. So if you want any USFL info, come on and check out my stuff, because I've got like the power rankings and all this stuff brought to you by yours truly, Zachner. I'm diving headfirst into it. So
Nice.
hopefully it lasts so it can continue and I can continue this little like monopoly I have right now. My stuff was on Bleacher Report. I went through the Bleacher Report USFL page and it was just all of my articles. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Nice.
Awesome. That is awesome.
I was like losing it. But yeah, it's been another fantastic week. Love talking with y'all and producing this for you guys every week for you to listen to. We'll be back very soon. Stay awesome, stay classy, and we'll see y'all next week.